Good evening, everyone. It's the Activated One, New Brighton, the Futuritarian, breaking down, is marijuana actually a gateway drug? No, it's not. No, it's not. How can it be a gateway? All right. Put it like this: Have you ever seen somebody smoke marijuana and then just decide out the blue, you know what? Later on today, I'm just gonna go ahead and smoke some crack. No, it doesn't work like that. Marijuana is not a gateway drug. That's what the bees tell you. He pushes that. He says it's a gateway drug for a reason, because he don't want you to get back to the ancient ways of doing it with the marijuana. I'm gonna give you an example. When we were already over in the Americas, because we were spread out through the whole world, actually wasn't spread out. When we had came to the planet, we had it was different sets of us in different parts of the planet. So the ones that were over here in the Americas, when you're dealing with the Native Americans, who you think the Native Americans got that idea from? When they have their little smoke lounges and they sit in a little smoke lounge and they meditate, whatever they use, they might use tobacco, they might use marijuana, they might use sage, they might use, or whatever they would use. They weren't inhaling it with and orally into their lungs. They would do secondhand smoke. And see, that's why they tell you secondhand smoke is bad, because the real way that you use marijuana is for meditation and for medicine. That's what you use it for. Now, I can understand the so-called black race when you're dealing with your job, racism, being belittled, trying to demasculate you, and you might get stressed out. You might smoke. It might be a coping for you to cope for that day is to get high, and that's just the way it is. It's not going to change anytime soon. People like to smoke weed. They're going to smoke weed, but the real way to consume marijuana was through liquids or through eating it, drinking it, or eating it. Because what happens is, instead of it sticking into your lungs, into your system, that tar build up. When you drink it or you eat it, or you eat an edible, it actually gives your liver time to clean your system out. When you smoke it, that's why they say, marijuana, it takes 30 days for it to be out your system. It depends on how much water you're drinking and what type of detox you take. So it's 30 days is just actually when you're not doing nothing. If you're not drinking water, if you're not detoxing, using some type of detox or organic detox, then yeah, it'll take anywhere from 20 to 40 days before it's completely out your system and out your blood cells. But the real way that we taught the natives that. We taught the natives that. A lot of these Native Americans, I'm not going to say, some of them, but then you have the chiefs, and then you have their council. So, they might tell certain natives here and there, we learned this from the so-called black people that were already over here. Because we were using it as a meditation. We would use it as meditation. We wasn't inhaling it. We would put it in a room, and we would light it like an incense. It would go into the air, and then we would sit there and meditate, sort of like sage. And also we used to use it as medicine. The oil extraction from the hemp plant. When the elders would get older and they would have pain, they would have aching in their arthritis, we would rub hemp oil on their joints. So when they were about to pass on to their next life, they wouldn't have no pain. They wouldn't have no pain, because marijuana has never been a cure. Marijuana never has been a cure for anything. It's always been a coping with stuff. Mental illness. Some people smoke it. They have mental illness, arthritis, multiple sclerosis. It's a coping mechanism. It's not a cure. It's the marijuana is always going to be a coping mechanism. That's why a lot of the so-called black race, they smoke it because they dealing with the society, dealing with the system. You got to unplug yourself out this system because you don't really need nothing really as long as your mental straight. I'm not telling nobody what to do. You know, if everybody's going to do what they do. This is for the ones that's going to be activated. You drink it. You drink it or you eat it. You give time for your liver to clean that stuff out your system when you don't need it in your system no more. When you smoke it, it's steadily in your system. It's steadily going to be in your system for a long period of time, depending on your detox process. Depending on your process. Detox. So is it a gateway drug? No, it's not a gateway drug. They just push that. They push it. They push the gateway drug because they don't want you to get back to the old ways of doing it. That's why they say it's a gateway drug. The only gateway drug is your peers. It's your peers. Your peers are the gateway drug. If you're not mentally strong, you're around somebody and they abusing narcotics, no matter which narcotic it is. If they smoking, you know, some type of rock, if they doing some type of pills. If you're mental and you're not mentally, set with yourself, you have to understand. Not my fault. You have to understand that the peer pressure is everywhere. It's everywhere. Even when you're in high school. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, especially as a teenager when you're growing up. I'm gonna give you a story. I had 4 friends when I was in my teens. Excuse me, I'm not feeling too well today. I might got the coronavirus. Oh shoot! But anyway, it's a true story. 4 of my friends, I ended up getting locked up as a juvenile. I ended up doing a year, and when I got locked up, they were messing with PCP. And if you don't know what PCP is, go do research on that. A lot of people, young people, probably don't know what that is. PCP, it's bombing fluid. And I told them, and I was 14 at this time, and I told them, because I always been somewhat woke. Always been somewhat woke. Even when I came out my mom's womb, I was always somewhat woke. Because it went from religion to woke, to conscious, to activated. So when I told him, I said, man, y'all don't need to do that. I said, that's a mind-altering drug. So to make a long story short, actually all 4 of them right now to this day, all 4 of them, there's something wrong with them physically and mentally. I just ran into one about 3 months ago, and he's still doing the same movements and hand gestures and body like from back in the day. Still messed up off of that stuff, off the bombing fluid. So even when I was a teenager, I was smoking a lot of marijuana, smoking a lot of it, but I knew not to smoke PCP because I already did some type of research on it. I was only 14 years old, asking older people what that was. And I asked 2 older people what that was, and they told me, don't ever smoke that shit. Oh, that stuff. You can't be cussing on YouTube, but anyway. But, so all 4 of them are mentally and physically messed up off the PCP. Now, the whole example of why I'm saying this is it's your peers. It's the ones you hang around. If you're not mentally strong enough, because if I was mentally weak, I would have been smoking PCP too. So how is marijuana a gateway drug to these narcotics? It's not. They pushing it because they don't want you to get back to the old forms of using it. Meditating with it, burning it like an incense, drinking it, eating edibles, letting it clean out your system, using it for medicine or using it for a pain coping mechanism with the oil-based cannabis. So no, it's not a gateway drug. The beast just pushes that because he don't want you to get back into the ancient ways of doing things, on how we were doing it from the jump with the marijuana. And everybody's chemical balance is different. Everybody's chemical balance is different. When you inhale marijuana smoke, everybody's body's a little bit different on the effect process. Somebody might smoke it and they get real motivated. Some people might smoke it, they get unmotivated. Some people might smoke it, they just might want to play the game, whatever it is. And some people might smoke it and they might start hallucinating or being paranoid for no reason. So everybody's chemical balance in their body takes different to the THC smoke when you inhale it into your lungs, because it never was supposed to be smoked. It was always supposed to be used in teas, used in edibles, and being used for whatever you was trying to accomplish. If you was meditating, you were burning like incense, and you would sit in your room or whatever, and you would meditate. That's where the natives got that from. The natives got that from us, because we was already over here. We was already over on this side in the Americas anyway. We were already here. Nobody speaks about that because they don't want the so-called black race to know that they're from. But right now with the internet out, a lot of people, so-called black race, they know, that they're from the Americas. When you go to South America, I mean, even in Israel, all around the planet, when you look at the news, they don't never state. You notice that when you look at the news, they don't never show you so-called black people. They always show the Arabs, the Indians, the East Indians. They don't never show no bronze people nowhere, because they want to embed it in your head that you're not there. Your genetics are not over there. Well, the genetics is on the whole planet. You can go up north to Alaska, Greenland right now, and you're gonna run into somebody with the same genetics as you. You might even run into your twin, speaking a whole different language, looking just like you. That's the genetics. Well, the book of Genesis is nothing but the book of genetics. Adam and Eve wasn't. They weren't so-called black people. Adam and Eve was mankind. Was mankind. That's who Adam and Eve was. That's our ancestors, the fallen ones. Adam and Eve is not. That's mankind. That's the first mankind. And the first mankind, a lot of people going. The first ones that they made was the Africans. They were making Africans, because if you look at the Africans, their hair texture, and you look at their skin, and you look at their facial features, the Africans was the first ones that we had made when we came on the planet, was the Africans. The second ones was the East Indians, because the Nubians and the Africans weren't the same people. Making you think. That's why you think genetically and mentally, when the Africans come over here, they don't really mess with the so-called black race, because it's genetics, it's mental. It's this been happening for thousands and thousands of years. Yeah, there were some of us in Africa, dealing with Egypt and all that stuff. There were some of us in Africa. But when you come, even when I come across some of the so-called black race, and I can look at some of them, and I can see the ones that have the African genetics in them more than the Nubian genetics. I can see that. I can see that. And then when you conversate with them and you talk with them, you can actually get a certain vibration from them. And you can see from your mental connection, because your mind's connected to the whole universe. So your mental connection, you can kind of see what side they're kind of really on mentally. Is it more the Nubian side or is it more the African side? But dealing with this marijuana, how's it a gateway drug? It's not a gateway drug. Then nobody, I don't know nobody since I was a teenager that started smoking marijuana and just out the blue was like, hey man, let's go up the street and buy some crack, smoke some crack today. Never happened. Now if they're hanging with somebody that's smoking crack and their mind ain't strong enough, then they're gonna end up smoking crack. Just like I could have ended up doing PCP, but I knew not to do that. Until this day, all four of them, something wrong with them. Something wrong with them. One of them's head still shake to this day. Till this day. And he's in his late 30s. So no, it's not a gateway drug. That's just something the beast's been pushing because they know the power they know the power in the marijuana if it's used correctly. They know that. They know that. Why do you think it ain't? Why do you think marijuana is not legal all through the United States federally? It's all state by state because there's too much money to be made. They're not finna do it. Legalize it. They're gonna do it slowly, state by state, because the illegal process of the money is too much of it. There's too much money in that. You know, you moving this and moving that, pounds and pounds, and the ones that go to jail, they're the ones that the money ain't going back to where it's supposed to go to. That's the ones that go to jail. You might luck out. You might be dealing with, one of the beast's really good agents. You know, you might get lucky, get you 150 pounds, 100 pounds here and there. And you might be dealing with the source, but you're still working for the beast. So then you might not have no luck. You might be working for somebody that the money ain't going back to them, and that's the ones that get locked up. That's the ones that go to jail. They got to sacrifice to keep their stuff going. But yeah, this the activated one, New Brighton, the Futuritarian. Like, subscribe, share. Make sure y'all share these videos too. YouTube hating this and that, because the activated ones, they got to get activated. It's gonna happen, but y'all can speed up the process by sharing. The algorithms, they don't never, and people that do YouTube videos that do I'm gonna say quote unquote conscious videos, y'all know what I'm talking about with these algorithms. They push it. I go on other people's computers and pull my stuff up, and instead of a previous video pulling up, they'll put on something next, like CNN. I'm sitting there like, I said, okay, I see what this is. So like, share, subscribe. If you guys want to get in contact with me personally, you can go on Facebook, New Brighton. That's with an N and a U, and at the end, at the end, it's a TEN, Futuritarian, New Brighton Futuritarian. You also can look up New Brighton on Instagram. It's the activated one. Good night.